noise is one of those things that you don't really think about until you're there and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't stand this thing. So often it's going to be a better product and you're going to get more of what you want if you're really thinking about it right from the beginning, from the concept design phases.
If you don't pick those components carefully beyond the scope of the radiated noise or whatever, but that reaction force is going to go into that mechanical equipment and find the weakest link.
How do we make this happen? You have to have a spec. You have to have a noise requirement in your vessel specification to say, look, hey, those of you who are designing this vessel, we want you to make sure that this vessel is going to be quiet.
Preparing that list so that a shipyard can bid it. That takes all of that guesswork out of it. The cost of the project is going to drop because you know what you're bidding on.
This is Greg Trotwine with Maritime Reporter TV, and we're particularly pleased to be joined not just by a single one-on-one interview, but we have three experts who can talk about noise and vibration mitigation on board commercial vessels. So we have Jesse Spence of Noise Control Engineering, Bob Lennon of Regal Rexnord, and Matthew Coombs of Christie and Gray. And again, just to start us off, gentlemen, we talk about engineering facets of commercial vessels around the world. But very simply to start, how prevalent is the conversation of noise and vibration on vessels at the outset when you're talking to your customers about the vessels they're building?
Yeah. I would say it's not prevalent enough. Although, everybody loves a loud boat, right? So we've all been there. And noise is one of those things that you don't really think about until you're there and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't stand this thing, right? And so those people that have been there and understand how that environment can really affect people and their performance and how they work and communication, they're the ones who I think are looking forward at the early design stages and saying, look, we really need to do something here about making sure our vessels are quiet. The reasons to do it are, there's quite a few. It's, again, simply comfort is the one that comes to mind, but there's safety factors too. If I can't communicate effectively with my crew and have them understand the commands that I'm giving, then there's going to be accidents or there's just going to be issues. Crew retention is also a big factor as well. Hey, you know what? We've got comfortable boats. Come work for us, and you're going to be more likely to keep the quality crew that you're looking for. So, but again, to your question, a lot of times the actual thinking about noise does come later in the design. A lot of times it's, let's make sure it's the right size and then we've got the right amount of cargo or whatever, and then we'll just, hey, shipyard, you take care of the noise. And realistically, we can make that work, but so often it's going to be a better product and you're going to get more of what you want if you're really thinking about it right from the beginning, from the concept design phases. What sort of noise requirements should we put in to the vessel specification?
So I love the comment at the beginning there, Jesse, about, sometimes it's cool to be the guy in the lake with the loudest boat, the biggest stereo and the fastest water skier.
Sure.
But that's not this world. It's the motorcycle analogy. The guy with the Harley is the coolest guy in the block, right? Because he's got the loudest. Where I see a lot of this is probably from a crew comfort standpoint, and a lot of our world seems to be tug. But it's about that real decision of finding crew. And, the kids today don't want to work on a noisy boat if the dock next door has got a newer boat that's quieter. I know where I'd go work because, the hearing loss is a real issue, builds up over time. And the comfort side of it, I think, is really important.
And one of the things that's added to that is a lot of the customers are asking for it now. We find more and more installations requiring good, effective isolation. And that benefit is both to the crew as well as for the machinery on board. It helps preserve the machinery, it reduces wear on the machinery, prolongs the life of the machinery. All of those are important things when you're talking about total cost per operating hour. So all of those benefits, and as Jesse said, and we've seen it time and time again, you build the boat and then, we have a problem. The cost of remediation is far in excess of what is if we had done it right in the first place. You know,
no.
his efforts are worth every penny. And I've seen it time and time again.
No, I mean, I think the crew comfort's no small part of this. You know, I don't get to do nearly as many test boat rides as I'd like to do, but I actually happened to be on one off of Long Island where I live earlier this year, and it was a pilot style boat, and it was a pilot style boat to service a private island off of Long Island, and I couldn't believe, because we, you know, like I said, I've been on plenty of commercial vessels. This vessel was we were standing right on top of the engines. The pilot house was right on top of the engines, and the quiet factor. And actually, the captain of the vessel, 20-year Coast Guard surfman, and we were talking about the noise, and he said the noise is such a large factor in fatigue. You know, fatiguing
Absolutely.
the crew, and I can only imagine as well. I mean, you know, we talk endlessly about being able to attract and retain the people you want. I think if you have a loud boat that's uncomfortable to sleep and to work, I think that's going to have a detrimental effect on keeping crew as well.
Yeah, it gets old really quick.
Yeah.
Matt also brought up the point about the maintenance and the cost of ownership side of it. That selection of those components, the added misalignment, that's my world. The way stuff is going to move so much more. If you don't pick those components carefully, beyond the scope of the radiated noise or whatever, but that reaction force is going to go into that mechanical equipment and find the weakest link. It's going to go after that first bearing in a gearbox or a clutch pack or something. So it ties into a couple of facets. Quiet boats for creature comfort and happy crew, and operational cost of the ownership of that asset over a number of years. So.
Okay, so I mean,
you can pay me now, you can pay me later.
Exactly, and I mean that comes into and you brought it up as well, Matt, is the cost of engineering goes up exponentially, and I forget the factor number, but it goes up exponentially as you move along in that design and build phase.
Exactly.
To actually mitigate it.
So remediation is just deadly. It's costly.
Can you put in real terms the percentage of clients that actually from the get-go come to you and say, hey, we want to focus on obviously an efficient boat, but also a quiet boat.
Right.
And I guess from all of your standpoint, and I think I know the answer, but when is the best time to actually begin this entire conversation and process?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I have a number specifically. I know that we work on a lot of vessels, but it's arguably a small fraction of the total number of vessels that are out there and that are being built. But, again, I think it comes down to those that have sort of learned the lesson the hard way are the ones to jump on board, now. And then, as far as how do you make it happen, it really does start with the owner. The owner has to recognize this is a priority, or at least this is something that I want to have. I want to have a comfortable vessel. I want to have my crew be happy, be able to sleep, be able to communicate. Because that's going to be better for me and for them. Everybody wins in that case. So yes, there may be slightly increased costs up front, but it's going to pay dividends in the long run. So in terms of how do we make this happen, you have to have a spec. You have to have a noise requirement in your vessel specification to say, look, hey, those of you who are designing this vessel, we want you to make sure that this vessel is going to be quiet, because otherwise it's not going to happen. If you don't tell the naval architect, hey, I want this vessel to go 20 knots, it's not going to go 20 knots, right? So for the same reason, you have to say, I want this vessel to meet these noise requirements. So it starts there, and then once you have that, you're now the noise design is part of the design spiral. So acoustical consultants like myself can work with the naval architects to perform design studies and trade-off studies and say, what is the best way, the most efficient way to ensure that we're going to meet these requirements without adding too much weight, imposing too much space, and again, imposing too much cost. And then once we have that design set, and ideally, again, early in the design stage, so we can tell the shipyard, hey, don't figure it out yourself. These are the things that we know you're going to need, so you can bid to this. Ultimately have a quieter vessel that is going to cost you less, because you're not guessing at the contract design stage as to what exactly needs to go into this. Once we have that design, we can then pass it to these guys and say, look, these are the quality products that can go into the vessel and really follow through on the whole idea.
Yeah, and I echo the importance of that being as early as possible and in that specification. From my side, again, I'm pretty straightforward. I'm the components that connect the rotating stuff. But I can make conscious decisions of product A, product B to mitigate those misalignment loads, to mitigate that noise transfer. Small cost delta, but in the scheme of what, Jesse's trying to put together for the owner, who is saying, here's my target threshold I want to not exceed. That's the time to do it. Earlier, the better. But again, from my side, it's just a question of picking what component I'm going to add onto the rubber element of the coupling to damp how much noise and accept how much misalignment. So my side, it's pretty simple.
See, I love this, and I'll let you chime in, but I love it because I'm the by far the least engineering aspect of this entire crew by a long shot. I know just enough to be dangerous, so I love when Bob explains it like I connect rotating stuff because I know that specifically is geared to me. That's the trout line factor, so it's all good.
Don't take this the wrong way, but I learned a long time ago from my father to speak to your audience.
Absolutely, there we go.
Or I'm facing this direction.
And Matt, you wanted to add something there?
I like to go back to what Jesse said. Creating that list of equipment, preparing that list so that a shipyard can bid it. That takes all of that guesswork out of it. The cost of the project is going to drop because you know what you're bidding on. You have a loose. I get requirements. It says it's got to meet 65 dB. Oh, okay. That means a lot to me. What are we putting in the boat? Where? How? How do I bid that? Yeah. And I actually have shipyards that ask me to quote that.
Wow.
But when it comes to the tugboat and something like bollard pull, that's black and white.
Yeah,
sure.
Absolutely.
I want 80. I'm not going to take 79.
Yeah.
And I'd love 82.
Yeah.
But I don't think the industry has enough recognition of that in the sound world yet.
Yeah.
Sure. We're trying.
No, that's interesting. And I know, obviously we talk about the tech a lot, and that's, we're here at a trade show. We talk about the tech, and all of you, I would like to chime in, but there are certainly many elements that go in, and it depends on the boat, it depends on the type, it depends on the machinery, it depends on a lot of things where it's operating. Yeah. But generally speaking, when you look at noise vibration mitigation on vessels, what are the tools in your toolbox? What do you use?
Yeah, well, I'll speak from the design side. So we have a number of different analytical tools that we use, and again, maybe speaking to the audience here, I won't get it too far into the technical details, but yeah, I mean, there's just like building furniture. There's the right tool for the right job, right? So so we've got a variety of tools which all are based in decades of physics as well as historical measurements, and we're constantly learning and trying to upgrade all the tools and techniques that we use, and trying to improve ourselves all the time. But again, there's a lot of computer modeling that happens, a lot of building off of prior experience. And then ultimately, once we have that design, it's great on paper, but we rely on these guys to really kind of put the physical products into play and make it happen.
We're on the component side in the coupling world, and we realized a long time ago the benefits of natural rubber in terms of not only that torsional damping, but noise mitigation, vibration absorption. Nobody has found a better mousetrap than natural rubber. So my role that I see in this is how do I get as much of that there as I possibly can through the choices of my components to make sure I've got as much rubber in there for that damping effect that it brings to the rotating equipment. Pretty simple.
I like to leave one thought, and I live in Massachusetts. Ride the Island Home ferry. That boat is so quiet.
Which boat was it?
Island Home.
Okay.
Ferry, Martha's Vineyard.
Yep.
Ride that if you have the opportunity. Anybody that wants to know what can be done to a boat, and you'll see in action Jesse's work, Bob's work, and my work.
Okay.
That boat is so quiet.
Yeah.
That's what can be done. That's truly what can be achieved, and it's a great example of a boat that runs every day. They made the conscious decision They want a quiet boat, and the results are beautiful.
Yeah.
You ride the Washington State Ferry, totally different world. Ride two of them. Ride two of them. Ride both. And this is not. This is simply the fact that the decisions were made.
Yeah.
Someone made the conscious decision. We're going to pay the extra cost.
Yeah.
We're going to do it up front. That boat is how many years old now? 14 years old.
Yeah. No, I also live in Massachusetts, and the comment I've heard is, I didn't know we left the dock, right? I mean, engine starting, propulsion's going. Oh, the land is moving.
Yeah. Well, Matt, you brought up a very good point, and that is the C word, cost. Cost. And I know, no two snowflakes alike, no two vessels alike, mostly. When you look at cost, and again, I know there is no easy answer here, but when you look at cost mitigation and the percentage that it will add to really effectively manage and mitigate noise and vibration, can you give me a ballpark?
It's a small percentage. Single digit maybe.
I may use the term minuscule.
Yeah.
Keep in mind the scope of a 3,000 horsepower internal combustion engine, and then a quality set of engine mounts, and the couple $1,000 cost delta of making a step to a better flexible coupling choice. It's nothing.
And even if you're
Yes.
including the engineering in that, right? I mean, it's still ultimately a very small percentage of the total cost of the vessel, and it pays dividends, right? Because, we've been involved in a number of projects where, we built this thing and we paid no attention to noise or vibration, and now we have a problem. Guess how much you're spending now? It's now double digits for sure in terms of percentages, and so and it just depends on how long it goes on and how much time and effort it takes to fix the problem. And then you talk about longevity as well, and then the costs for crew rollover or just other safety concerns. Again, unfortunately there's some intangibles that you really need to compare against. So that's why it is so hard to give you a number on that. But
Sure.
If you were just talking about pure upfront engineering and then pure materials costs, I would put it at exceedingly low, single digit, percentages. Yeah.
Sure.
So.
No, that's a very good point though as well. And again, say a vessel does come out and it's noisier than was on spec, and the finger pointing begins. And again, we don't need to take this conversation down the legal route whatsoever. Right. But obviously, there's a lot of players and there's a lot of people looking to put the blame on someone else. I guess, what's the best strategy for everyone sitting here to mitigate your risk?
Yeah, I think it's very simple. It's you integrate acoustic design with the rest of the vessel design from the earliest stages, and then you continue it throughout until delivery. And again, it doesn't have to be complex. We know how to do it, and while it may be a new thing for many vessel owners and operators, it is not a new thing for the industry. We've been doing this for over 3 decades, we work for commercial clients, we work for military clients. We know how to get this done.
Yeah, and from my side, again, it's the simplicity of just knowing that I'm going to go grab this catalog instead of that catalog. And we can look at it after a minute here in the booth, but it's going to that Syntec Series L flywheel coupling, maximizing how much rubber's there for the radial displacement, putting the dog bones on it for angular and axial, and then if there's an intermediate shaft, we're leaning into carbon fiber, and we're leaning again into the Centrelink dog bones, because there's as much rubber as possible there between the sources of noise and the people that don't want to hear it.
Sure. And we've been talking about things like drive lines and so forth, but I go back to Island Home. I rode the Island Home. The loudest piece of equipment on that boat is a galley fan.
Wow, it's amazing.
And that's because good engineering, good design, they thought about the equipment, they put effective isolation in, they did a good job of isolating the bulkheads, they cut off the paths.
The natural follow-up to that is, who's the galley fan manufacturer?
And do they need to buy some Christie and Gray fan models?
No, that's awesome. You know, and again, we talk about noise, and we obviously talk about noise on the vessel and all the impacts, the pluses and the minuses. We really haven't talked about underwater radiated noise. I mean, and again, I talk about that because I do have a subsea technology publication. It is a thing, but my question to you is how much of it is a thing from where you sit?
Yeah, well, so I'm in the unique position of assisting, or I've been to the IMO multiple times now to talk about exactly this topic. There's a lot of movement in the international community to push towards just reducing underwater noise, whether that's through incentives or through potential future regulation, TBD. But it is definitely gaining momentum. And it's the same conversation, just in a bigger picture. I mean, again, I would say most people in this room right now have never even thought about underwater noise. And only those vessels that have a specific purpose for needing quieter vessels, such as fisheries research or other kind of oceanographic research vessels, have even considered quieter, reduced underwater noise levels for their vessels. So it's the same story where, okay, let's get used to this. Let's understand that there are processes in place. We have the tools. We have the ability to design these things. But it really, really takes the early decisions of the vessel owners to say, this is something that I want, or this is ultimately maybe something that I need. We're going to put this into the vessel specification and then enable the rest of the machine, essentially, our services, naval architects, and then these guys to make it happen.
Awesome.
Jesse's obviously got a lot more expertise, and is it above deck, below deck? From my side, it doesn't influence my component catalog choice again. But we do see it. You get into the NOAA vessels and some of the research boats, and oceanographic, anti-submarine, whatever kind of geological underwater survey you want to do. That's where we see it come up. But it's more his expertise in making that whole system and what directions that noise can go.
He's the symphony orchestra
There you
director.
go. Oh my God,
Right?
the maestro.
Yeah.
He's the
The
maestro.
maestro. I think
Absolutely.
that's a new name on his nameplate. I'm just going to put maestro.
I can't
Awesome.
get there without him.
Yeah.
I can give you remediation without his skills. We can't guarantee you're going to have the product you want. Because if you're not pinpointing the right pieces of equipment, there's major components, the propulsion engines, generators, exhaust system, those always are the big culprits. Everybody tries to get those three. But then you really start breaking it down. And again, it goes back to acoustic treatments for bulkheads, mass damping. There's so much technology out there that can be done during the construction phase to make a boat quiet. All of that really needs to be brought in up front. You can't put acoustic mass stuff in after you put everything in. You got to strip the boat out to do it.